everyone, and welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, where I'll be giving you two of my best tips for tomorrow's racing. Now, before we get stuck into that, just want to go through a couple of things with you. First of all, if you haven't done so already, make sure you listen to the latest episode of the In the Saddle podcast, where I am previewing this weekend's racing when it comes to Warwick and Market Rasen. I was joined by the usual panel of Mark Karofsky, Katie Clements and Paul Callahan. If you've been following the podcast for a while, you might know that obviously we had a 66-1 winning that last week as Paul Callahan, what a judge, put up Boreham Bill, and he went on to oblige in the Lanzarote hurdle at Kempton. So yeah, it was a great show last week with the podcast, and fingers crossed we can have some more winners on this weekend's edition. So if you want to listen to it, make sure you hit one of the links in the description box below. We've got all the major podcast platforms covered. We've got a link to our Apple page, our Spotify page, and also as well Soundcloud. So whichever one takes your fancy, just make sure you hit one of those links in the description box below. Also as well, before we get into those two tips for tomorrow, quickly just want to reflect on how our tips performed today. In the end, it was a good day here on the YouTube channel as we came away with a winning nap. We put up Gustavian in the 130, was very well backed. We put him up at 7-2 yesterday. Saw a couple of people who were able to get 4-1. I don't know how they were able to do that, but fair play to you if you were on at those kind of prices. But yeah, in the end, he was well backed into favouritism and did the job really well in the end. Just outstayed all his rivals, and he had a bit of class about him as well. He'd been running in better grades, and it was quite a weak race at Fontwell today, and he was able to demonstrate that, you know. And the £7 claim of Ben Godfrey was very valuable too. He had a great day today at Fontwell. He rode a treble, and he's now ridden out his £7 claim. So from now on, he'll be claiming £5, and he's definitely a jockey you want to keep on side. So yeah, Ben Godfrey, a name to note there for the future. The other selection ran at Banger on D. That was Snoogar. He was the next best of the day. We advertised him at 8-1 each way with a 0.5 point each way selection. In the end, he got the place money, was able to recoup it for us, finished in third place, you know, ran a good solid race from the front for the majority of the race, and in the end, the way he was ridden was able to get him in the frame, because being handy at Banger today was definitely a good move. It was very attritional stuff, you know, very hard work for a lot of those horses around there, but I often think that Banger often can suit front runners, and it evidently did show today. So yeah, a good day for us here on the YouTube channel with two profitable selections, and fingers crossed we can take that into tomorrow's tips, where we've got two selections coming from Newcastle. So let's get into the first of them then. We go with the nap, which runs in the 1240 2-mile class 5 handicap. Now in this race tomorrow, there's quite a few here coming in here with some form claims, but I thought Busy Street really was a cracking price at 10-3, and I'm going to recommend a 1-point win bet as my nap of the day. Trained by Becky Menzies, and Callum Rodriguez is booked for the ride. Now this horse, Busy Street, was back to winning ways last week when he won a Jumpers Bumper due to all the embeddlement we've had over the last couple of weeks. The BHA, they've done it quite a few times over the last few years, staged what they call a jumpers card, and he did really well to win that. You know, he absolutely bolted up. It was probably a weak contest, but he couldn't have done any more, and he was never really out of second gear that day. And if he recaptures that form, which he has been showing on his last couple of starts, I think he's got a major chance in this race tomorrow. He's down to a mark of 75, which if you go back through some of his old form, looks very well in. He actually won a handicap here off a mark of 88 back in the early part of 2019. Even though that was 2 years ago, he's been, for the majority of his career since then, been competing in a higher grade of race. And this is a class 5 tomorrow, and that means that he's been going down the handicap ranks, and he's now down to probably a very workable level, and 75 could make him look well in here despite having to carry top weight. You know, he's got a good record at the course as well. He's run some good races here before. I think there's lots to like about this horse tomorrow, and he's a really obvious selection. And the likes of Jen's fella, that horse for Ian Williams, yeah, has shown some good form, and I know some of you probably will fancy him, and we'll be getting weight from quite a few of we'll be getting quite a bit of weight from our selection. But for me, I just think he lacks the attitude to win a race of this kind of nature. And also as well, Man Jam, who has been running well for the Lock Name team, yeah, for me, I think the handicap has got him by the short and curlies now, and I think Busy Street is down to a really workable mark. Seems to be loving life now that he is with Becky Mendes. He's been around the houses a little bit, been with a couple of the shrewd all-weather trainers with the likes of Tony Carroll and Mick Appleby, and now the fact he's with Becky Mendes, she does really well with her string. She's got him in a good place now, I think, this horse. I think Busy Street tomorrow will take all the beating in the 12:40 at Newcastle. So that's going to be my nap of the day. We then go to the last race on the card at Newcastle for the next best. Now this horse, so many people have fallen off a cliff with this one because he always seems to do his best work late, and that's Primo's Comet in the 4:10 at Newcastle. You can currently back him at the time recording at 11-2, and that price was available with Betway, who are offering 4 places on this race, and I'm going to recommend a 0.5 each way selection here for Oliver Stammers, claiming 5, and he's riding for Jim Goldie. Now this horse, Primo's Comet, does have some good form next to his name, and he was quite eye-catching last time out when he ran on into 4th place in a better grade. That was in a Class 4 handicap. He drops to a Class 5 handicap, and last time he ran in the Class 5 handicap here at Newcastle, he actually won it. So going down in grade tomorrow is definitely going to be suiting him, and he's been dropped by the handicap of £2 for that run. And last time Phil Dennis was aboard, but tomorrow Oliver Stammers is going to be able to claim 5, so that's definitely going to help our selection here. And the last mark he won on at Newcastle was 71, so he's now £1 below that last winning mark at Newcastle, and also as well he's going to be getting £5 off his back. So there's lots to like about his chances tomorrow. There's a few old regulars in here like Klopp and a couple of others, but I thought Primo's Comet might be able to bring a touch of class for this level of racing, you know. And Oliver Stammers as well, he's a good jockey, based with Mark Johnson, getting some other good opportunities with the likes of Jill Bonus, people like that, you know. I actually interviewed him as well in the Saddle podcast in the past. So yeah, Primo's Comet, I think he's got a lot to like about him tomorrow, and is down to a really good workable mark, and this is definitely a winnable race for him, I think. And I'll be disappointed at least if he couldn't at least finish in the first 4, so that's why I'm recommending a 0.5 each way selection. Like I said, probably quite a few people will put him up tomorrow, but I just think he's one of those horses that when you're seeing him that well in, you've got to put him up. But we all fall off a cliff with this lad. I've done it a couple of times because he always runs on very well at places like Musselburgh, tracks like that, you know. So yeah, I just think tomorrow I'm hoping it will be his day and he can get back to winning ways for Ollie Stammers and Jim Goldie. So I'll quickly just round up there then. In the 12:40 at Newcastle is the nap of the day, Busy Street, 10-3, 1 point win bet. And then the next best of the day comes in the last race, the 4:10 at Newcastle, and we go with Primo Comet, 11-2, each way 4 places Betway, and I reckon a 0.5 each way selection there. So they're the 2 tips for tomorrow's racing. If you're enjoying these videos, please remember to hit the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. I really appreciate all the support you give me. If you want to follow me on Twitter, that's the best place to do so on social media, where my handle is @LuckyLoader15. And if you want to find out a little bit more about myself, my website is www.chrisloaderracing.co.uk. So please gamble responsibly. Hopefully we can have a couple of winners tomorrow, and we'll be seeing you soon.